What is home? When we have a special occasion, a birthday, holiday, we tend to go home. And sometimes that home isn't even where we live. We have a house or an apartment of our own, and yet we're going home. When we leave work, we go home. Is that the same place? Maybe, maybe not. We often talk about homeless and homelessness, people without a house or an apartment, a trailer, a car, some property that they call home, some property that serves as their shelter. And while that is a problem and a growing problem here in the United States, is that really what we mean when we talk about home? When we have those moments where we're alone, depressed, grieving, sad, is home just a building? When we have those moments where we are ecstatic, want to celebrate, want to share with those that we care about, is home an address? Or is home really just where the people that we love are? Where our identity is or was? Is home really just a place where our heart exhales and says, I am the most me in this space with these people? But what happens if that space is gone? That physical location, somebody else owns it now. That group of people, whether it be your parents, your siblings, your kids, husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, what if they're no longer there? What if you find yourself alone, even if you have a house or apartment around you? What if you find yourself never being able to exhale? Because no matter what physical building, no matter what structure, no matter what edifice, no matter what address you are at, you no longer have a place to call home. Now, what we commonly call homelessness, which is really just shelterlessness, that's a very real problem. And it's not something to be overlooked, especially now when we're looking at an eviction crisis from coast to coast. We're looking at millions of our brothers and sisters being kicked out, potentially kicked out of the places where they live because of unemployment and an inability to pay rent or a mortgage. That's a very real problem that we need to address, and half measures of we're going to stop evictions until the end of the year are not going to fix that. It's just pushing the problem down the road. And if anything, it's an election trick. But beyond whether people have a shelter to go to, whether they have a roof over their head and heat in the winter and cool in the summer and some place to cook and some place to sleep, there's an even larger problem in that people have lost home, any home, anywhere. whether it's losing touch with family and friends, whether it's no longer being welcomed into their communities, whether it's they feel attacked and under siege where they live, whether they are unwelcome in their communities, their towns, their states, or their country. And so much of what we're seeing now plays out like people that are searching for home, people that are trying to make a home, and people who are trying to defend their home. It's not an accident that we have an agency in our government called Homeland Security. That when we talk about defending the borders of our country, defending the interior of our country, that we call it homeland. That's no accident. When we have laws passed like Stand Your Ground, that say that if somebody trespasses in your home, you can treat them to lethal force. That's not an accident either, because when someone feels that they have a home, they will defend it with their lives. But what about for those people who are trying to make a home, who've already been here their entire lives and still cannot call this place home because they're not welcomed by their communities, they're not welcomed in their towns and cities, they're not welcomed by the federal government, despite the fact that they've been here their entire lives? We've seen this country cage children who are here, who are brought here. And for all intents and purposes, this was the only home they had ever known. There are communities, entire communities of racial, ethnic, lifestyle minorities that are American citizens and have a hard time calling this place where we live home, because they're under attack and under siege simply for being who they are. They don't feel love in this place where we live. They don't feel love when they go out into their communities, and they don't feel love at home because they are under attack. We are under attack. And all we want, all that we want, is to be able to call this place home. Wherever we are, we want a home too. And where we are, where we live, where we play, where we work, should be home. In some cases it isn't, but it should be. And the difference between it being home that we can claim, that we can take pride in, that we can be comfortable in, and that we can thrive from is love. It's whether or not we are loved as we are, or whether we're expected to be something we are not. Whether we can enjoy the benefits of being just another member of this home, or whether we are treated as unwanted house guests. And that's not unique to the United States. It's not unique to any country. It's not unique to any group, ethnic, religious, racial, lifestyle, or otherwise. It exists in all forms everywhere. And the difference between whether it continues or whether it gets better is love. Is whether we can extend love to all of the people in our communities, to all of the people in our jobs, to all of the people in our country and in our world. Because at the end of the day, all any of us ever really wants is home. We want a home. Because we can see the world in all its glory, but at the end of the day, the Wizard of Oz was right. There's no place like home. Have a blessed day.